parents are wondering what could put their teens and young adults at risk.
Dr. Laura Saunders from the Institute of Living is here now. More. Happy Wednesday, Dr. Laura. How are you?
Hello, friends. Happy Wednesday and happy early St. Patrick's Day.
Okay,
yes,
so I'm at lunch in New York City. I'm doing a nice brunch on Sunday in Harbor Yard. It's called Queensland was the restaurant, and we're sitting in front of what's called the Vessel. Have you heard about this? It's a structure that they built in New York City. It's absolutely gorgeous, where people can go up this vessel. But it's closed now because so many people have killed themselves jumping off of this beautiful structure.
Wow.
People are committing suicide, and they closed it after 4 or 5 people killed themselves. This suicide rate it's just everywhere you go. You look around, and it's prevalent.
Right, and that actually brings up a really good point. I mean, the stressors that young people are under, how COVID has really, really negatively affected the development of so many young people. But the point that you brought up, Scott, that is really critical is reducing access to lethal means. And, that's an object, a sculpture, whatever. But, I mean, in the home, when you have someone that's at risk, or if you just have teens who could get impulsive at some point, reducing access to lethal means is about, locking up your over-the-counter medication or you're getting them out of the house. So reducing access to lethal means, that's exactly what the point that you're bringing up, and that's a really, really critical step when we talk about suicide prevention.
So, when we heard about the Stanford goalie and then, her parents, it's heartbreaking to read what they were saying.
It was terrible to watch those interviews.
She was beautiful. She, they were saying maybe was she going to get disciplined at school, and she was perhaps a perfectionist. But I think it's hard to understand when we see an actor. We had a recent actress, Chelsea Christ, or we have this goalie who on the outside, they can look so perfect, and yet they would go kill themselves.
Right. And it's never as simple as any one issue. It's almost always, when we go back and do, a psychological autopsy on these very, very unfortunate situations, we look, there's a lot of contributing factors. Typical contributing factors are life stressors, a prior history of suicide attempts or a family history, mental health disorders like depression or trauma, a recent or impending crisis or loss. So sometimes a crisis can really sort of bring this on. Impulsivity, hopelessness, poor coping. So, and again, it's not any one thing, and it's often there are signs. I don't want to give you all the statistics on the signs, but there are signs. So it's really being a little bit more alert to someone in your life that may be in a lot of distress, may have lost interest in activities that were previously enjoyable, lack of energy, withdrawal, isolation, or an increase in substance use. That's always a risk factor as well.
There are, you wrote here for us, there are many myths about suicide, and one of them is that if you ask someone about suicide, it will put the idea into their head. That's just a myth.
We should ask.
It is a myth, and it actually is very important that if you know someone in your life, your child, your cousin, your sister, your whoever, that you ask them, they've been struggling, they're having a hard time, you ask them directly, have you thought? What I'm telling you is that it's already in their head. And if you ask them, it gives them a release to say, yes, I've been thinking about this, and it's troubling to me, but I don't know what to do. So it has the reverse effect. It gives them a release to say, yes, I've been thinking about this. Yes, I'm struggling, and I don't know what to do.
So if they say yes, or, well, I don't think I would do that, but I've thought of it. What do we do then?
It's hard for a layperson to make a good assessment of someone's risk. That's really for the professionals. So what I encourage people to do is access help. If they have a loved one, a child, a teen that has thought about suicide, that they access help. So That could be, if your child's in school, the school support personnel, they can help you. Calling 211, they can do an assessment. If it's an emergency or an urgent issue, you would call 911. There are resources. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-TALK. Or what young people really prefer is texting. There is a text crisis line that's 741-741, so you just kind of go down the number pad. So it's easy to remember, 741-741. So there are resources out there. Please don't take it upon yourself to do an assessment of risk and let the professionals do that.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Laura. We're out of time, but we appreciate your sentiments, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
And I'll see you on Kara's Cures. We're going to get deeper into this, and,
okay.
You'll be able to perhaps have something that you can share and watch in depth with your loved ones. Thank you.
Thanks.